Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer.
All right, welcome back to the Impactful Engineer Podcast, where we talk about accelerating your career. That's one of the things we talk about. The other things we like to talk about are awareness around the availability of careers in the realm of engineering, but also, construction in general. Architecture, engineering, and construction is a big industry. Every building that you see, everything within it, all of the systems that keep you safe, comfortable, come from, at some point, engineering, architecture, and then, of course, the people that build it in construction. So I like to talk about that because I'm in that industry as an engineer, as an electrical engineer. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And really what we're going to hone in on is we've got a great guest today. We've got a great story for y'all. ACE mentorship program. Okay. This is something I'm going to be talking a lot about here over the next year. And this program is specifically for high school students to get involved and get in the know about what is available to them as very viable career options in the architecture, engineering, and construction world. And you actually get to spend 4 years, if you want to, throughout your high school career, spending time with veterans in these industries, spending hours with these people, doing projects, learning all the ins and outs of everything that is available to you, and what does the life of an engineer, an architect, or construction manager, tradesman, builder, whatever, what will you be doing every day? What are the problems you get to solve, right? What are some of the things that are required to work in the field? So while you're going to high school, you can be exploring this through the ACE mentorship program. And it's a nonprofit, it's free, it's supported by the local community. There's chapters that are in every state, city, and it's just a great way to know what it's like to work in the professional world as you're going through high school. So without any more, I'll cover just the housekeeping stuff. Impactful Engineer, if this is your first time listening, typically we have 3 episode types. First one is Steve and I get on. Steve's my co-host, another engineer. And we discuss a topic that we think is good for people to hear in regards to advancing their career, maybe in a little more of an accelerated manner than if you didn't hear it. So we're trying to give you things that'll give you an edge. That's the first episode type. So we explain it. We try to give you tips and tricks and leave you with some action to take. The second type would be just either Steve or I on here, giving you a little bit of fire, giving you a little bit of insight into how we operate and what we've seen work very well for ourselves. Short little episodes with something good to take away. And then we have a third episode type, which is we bring a guest on. And this guest will have an inspiring story. Of course, things that they can share that have worked very well for them, typically around a career experience or a leadership experience, something you can use to enhance your technical skills in the workplace. Yeah. So we're very workplace focused, but all of this stuff can be translated into your personal life, your career, how you operate as a human being, all of these things. And that's what we bring to you through the Impactful Engineer Show. So like I mentioned earlier, we have a special guest on today, so I'll let him introduce himself. I don't like to do the whole build up, name every credential and what they've done before I introduce them. So Edwin Montas, and I think that's how you say your last name, with Gilbane Construction, and he'll tell you all about that. But he's on the show today. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Awesome, Jake. Thank you for having me here. Honestly, just listening, talking, what is this show about is everything that I wish there was a podcast when I was going through my journey of getting into college, getting into the industry. But honestly, what you and your brother are doing on this show is great. So thank you for the invitation. Again, just want to introduce myself. My name is Edwin Montas. I am an operational excellence manager at Gilbane Building Company. Been working there for 10 plus years. I am also an ACE alumni, so I've been part of the ACE mentoring program since I was in high school. I was a mentee, was a mentor, I was part of the board, and now I continue giving back to the community through career presentations, recruitment efforts, etc. But I am super excited to be here just to share a little bit about my story and how I got to where I am today with the help of programs such as the ACE mentoring program.
Yeah, and the stories are so important. I mean, we could tell people all about ACE mentorship program, and this is what you get, just show up. But I think the real connection comes from who's been through the program and what has their experience been like, and what did it do for them. So it's our honor to have you on the show, and I think someone listening is going to get a lot out of it. And if you're an aspiring engineer, there's going to be a lot of things to take from this. If you're early career, I bet you we're going to dip into some early career stuff. So keep on listening. And if you like the show and you know someone that's in that high school age, maybe this is a good episode to introduce to them. Maybe get them inspired to step through the doors or email somebody or get interested. And you can always reach out to us too, and we'll hook you up. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so tell us about way back, like hey, well, I don't even know what ACE is. Let's go there.
All right.
And how does that bring it to where you are now?
All right, so let's go way back in time, right? Let's go to a time machine. Um, so I went to a high school. It was the Met High School. Basically, the way the Met works, it stands for Metropolitan Career and Technical High School. And the way the Met works is basically a learn through interest type of school. So what they do is they tap into the student's interest. What is it that you want to? What is it that you like to do? And they try to translate that into a career in the future. So I remember being a sophomore, 15 years old, and my advisor coming to me asking me, "Hey, Edwin, what is it that you want to be?" Right? That's a loaded question. Like, so I didn't have an answer, but I know there was certain things that I liked, that I enjoy doing. So I like to draw, and I was pretty good at math. So the way he translated that was like, it sounds like architecture is your thing, right? Let's look into that. He found out about this program called ACE, right? So architecture, construction, and engineering. And he was like, "Hey, Edwin, this program is, I extremely recommend it. It gives you access to the AEC careers. You should go check it out." The commitment is once a week after school, for a couple weeks. So I said yes, and I went to the first session. I remember going to that first session and seeing different industry from professionals from all backgrounds in the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. Um, so I went the first day. I was super interested in that, and I continue on going. Um, my as I was going to the sessions, I was listening. What is it that an architect does on a day to day basis, right? What is it that a construction manager does on a day to day basis? A trade person does on a day to day basis, an engineer, and so on. One of the biggest things I say with this program, and you hear it throughout our conversation, is just the access to this industry. Again, real world experiences. So I got that access at such a young age that I was able to narrow my interest, right? So my interest changed from architecture to construction management. And that's something that I extremely appreciate because I was able to go into, finish high school, go into college, and basically know what is it that I want to, be when I grow up without having to change careers. Like some of my peers, some of my peers that I went to high school, some of my peers that I work with today. So that was a big advantage that I felt like that I had, and I was able to distinguish that in my high school years. Yep.
Yeah, and that confidence, it's almost like a confidence. It's like, hey, it'll help you take those steps, right? So that application process, ACEs are behind you doing that, right? Maybe some financial support. I know they do scholarships. The network that you've built, right? You can ask, hey, how about even curriculums? It's like, what's the best path here? And my advisor's saying this, and let me run it by you. Like, you have this whole group behind you helping you take those steps forward. That's huge, especially if you don't have that in the home. Or I'm a first generation college student. It's like there was no one there telling me what to do, what steps to take. I was just plowing forward. And I could have used a little confidence, about if I had gone through this program and had that network built and all that. Um, I simply just was like, hey, my best friend's doing it, and I'm going to do it because I don't want to lose my best friend. It was that's as simple as it was. Um, but yeah, there's so many benefits from it too. And even if you figure out, hey, I want nothing to do with any of this, there's another big old box checked off. Like, hey, now I can learn from that and point myself in perhaps the right direction.
Jake, you brought up a lot of good points. Like you said, hey, try it out. If you don't like it, you check the box. Now you don't have to go, to the college or university and check the box there when you're paying, tons of money. So you kind of got it early on and you're saving money that way. You brought up another good point. I myself also in a first college graduate, right? My parents didn't go to college, so they didn't know what was a college application. They didn't know what careers existed out there, and that was something that I feel like ACE helped me. It was like before ACE, I didn't even know what construction management was. I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know it existed. I knew there was architects. That's it.
Yeah.
So
I've got a funny story about just not even after I graduated with my degree in electrical engineering, like not even knowing what um, most of like what three phase and building system power even was, and it's amazing what you can if you're just on this one little path, like, and you're not branching out and joining these programs and talking to people, like what you can miss, you know.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely,
yeah.
and being able to go to the program and talk to the architect, talk to the engineer, talk to the construction manager, and say, like you mentioned, hey, what was your curriculum in school like? Like, I need to know before I sign up for this. So I had the opportunity to do that, and that was again, I felt like that was so much benefit. I talk about it all the time. The access that ACE gives you is like it's like this abundant of information that is just free to grab, So that's something that I really appreciate from the program. Um, so just to go into a little bit more, the way the program is broken out, and like you mentioned, you could go all 4 years of high school. I was introduced to the program when I was a sophomore, so I was able to be in the program my sophomore year, my junior year, and my senior year of high school. So my first year, basically, you get in. It's really the intros, right? You get introduced, like I mentioned, to all the different careers in the industry. You get introduced to the different softwares. You get to go to construction sites. You get to go to actual office space. Like, where do these people work? How does their station looks like on a day to day basis? And that, honestly, I remember going to a structural engineer's office, and I was blown away. I'm like, wow, you work here? This is awesome. So it's just stuff like that, right? You won't get that access anywhere. So that was basically the first year, and then the second and third year, they step it up a little bit more. We get to work on a national competition, and basically compete with students all over the United States. I
Yep.
remember when I was in the program, I got to work on at the time, they were looking at the 2012 Olympic Stadium, right? So that was something that my group got to work on. We got to look at sustainable features, how a stadium works, and so on. Obviously, it's make believe, but you do go through, every process or most of the process that a real world professional would do. Again, we're being mentored by real world professionals as we're putting these projects together.
Yeah, and who wouldn't want to like get into the classroom and say, "Oh, okay, this is what this structural this is what dynamics and this is what statics teaches us. That's how I tie it to the real world. This is cool. It makes it a little more real for you while you're in school. For me, it was just so theory and like, what does this actually pertain to? You know? Uh,
Exactly.
so I see that as a huge benefit too. Um, one thing that you talked about earlier was like there was this turn. You mentioned like a turning point. What do you, is that stick out in your mind as what that turning point was and why it's important?
Yes. So again, with my journey, it was basically trying to figure out what is it that I want to do, right? And I felt like Ace, they helped me answer that, and throughout my time in the program, those 3 years. And I would say my turning point in the program, and this it goes with one of the other benefits that the program offers is internships, right? So um in the program I was able again, going back to learn through interest, right? I went to this high school that I needed to get an internship. That was part of also the curriculum. So through the ACE program I was able to get an internship at Gilbane Building Company. um how did I get the internship? One of the mentors at ACE worked for Gilbane. So I, at the time going to through the workshops, I was like, I like this. I like construction management. I should give it a shot and see if I could get an internship. Long story short, I got an internship at Gilbane Building Company, and I feel like that was my turning point. Like after that, I never looked back, and that was about 17 years ago. You
That's
know,
awesome.
to go a little deeper in the story, I got an internship at Gilbane. I kept going. I kept because obviously I had to finish every year. I needed an internship, so I made sure that I did well. And I reached out every year. Hey, do you have an opportunity available so I can intern? So I interned again. I went to ACE those 3 years, but I also interned at Gilbane those 3 years of high school. And the cool thing about it is that the mentors, they had a common connection, which was the ACE program, right? So I was able to go to ACE and obviously intern at Gilbane. While I did the internship at Gilbane, there was another program that Gilbane was putting together, which was called Lab. It stands for Learn, Apply, Build. It's funny, as I was reflecting, I went back into my files and I looked at that lab application, and basically what that lab application was, I felt like it was like a sports contract. Like literally what I was doing was, it was the program was, once you graduate high school, you will come to work for Gilbane Building Company. You will go to school. I would attend Roger Williams University. I went to Community College of Rhode Island to do my general studies, went to Roger University to do my construction management program, and while I did my schooling, I worked at Gilbane Building Company. So it was like a co-op program, and then on top of it they helped me financially. So right, if you connect the dots, it was like, did Ace. At Ace, I got introduced to Gilbane. Gilbane, like, you know what I mean? So it was such a cool, um, like like going back, like thinking about it back. It's like, wow, I can't believe that at such a young age, I was able to. I don't think I understood how big the situation
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. You just did
I
it.
just did it.
So, so here, this is what I heard. Okay. Hey, I might be interested in. Well, first I went to I made the choice to go to a technical high school and make sure that I could have the opportunity to learn what I want to do, right? And they make you go get internships and stuff like that. So choose your schools wisely, right?
Yeah.
And then he went through and said, okay, I think maybe architecture. And then walks in and goes, yeah, let's learn some stuff. And he goes, ooh, there's this whole construction management thing. That's kind of cool. Hooked up with some mentors, which you probably didn't know the size or the history of Gilbane or what they've done for the community or what they've done to get where they are, right? A high performing big company that is driven by some pretty fantastic leaders, right? And you're like, okay, this Gilbane thing, let's go work. Then you're getting paid to learn, which is like one of the most fantastic things I've ever heard of. Because usually, you're kind of paying to learn, right? You're going to go to school, right? And you're going to go into all this debt. So you're getting paid to learn, really, be educated. But there's a lot I just want to like bring up to the audience too, especially if we're getting high school students that will listen to this. There's so much behind that that is not being said right now, that the effort that was put in by Edwin to make this happen. So there's all these things that are available to you, but the doors don't open unless you put in the effort. And so there's a huge amount of effort, courage, showing up, putting in the hard work, doing the stuff, doing the follow ups that you were talking about, reaching out. Okay, no one is here to hand you anything. You're going to take it. They're just there for the opportunity. They will provide you with that opportunity, but you got to take it. So I just want to make that point. It's super important. And one of the things, like one of the top things I tell people, especially like, let's just say going through the ACE program, like it is up to you. Like one of the most important things to do is to be courageous enough to talk to people about the subject matter. Tell me more about this. Let's dive into this. I don't know all the acronyms that you know. What are they? What do they mean? Why is that important? Because your mentors are professionals that have been in the industry for 10, 20, 30 years, and they're going to just rattle things off, right? It's it's up to you to dig it out. So I like to say so the mentors guide the learnings around your curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give them that curiosity, or else they're just going to teach what they think is important, which might not connect. It connects with a lot of people, but it might not connect in the way that you would need it. So you run the program. You make the program work for you, not the other way around. So it's something really important to hold on to with any program that you're in. Your high school, going to college, your basketball team, your football team, the a math competition, whatever you're doing, it's important to make the experience that you're in work for you, not expect the experience to work for you, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, no, I think you couldn't said that any better. Like as you were saying that, I was thinking about my years that I was a mentor, um, and I had mentees, and I could you could kind of tell the difference with the level of interest that different students have, and those students that really, like you mentioned, show up, be present, ask the questions, do the follow up, they stick out. You know what I mean? And I think that's something extremely important. That anyone that's trying to get into anything, right? Doesn't matter what it is, you need to show that you want to be there. Because if
Mm-hmm.
not, again, like the majority of the people that were they were volunteers, right? They took time out of their life to give back to the community. So like show them that you want to be there. um it's interesting thinking about it now. Like a lot of the mentors I had when I was an ace, they're my coworkers today. 17 years ago, it was you know what I mean. So I've been in situations now that I've mentored, and then I've hired my mentees, full circle.
That's
So
right.
basically, it's a big industry, but at the same time, it's small. You're gonna work with the same companies. You're gonna see the same players. So you need to really make sure that you protect your brand, protect your work ethic, protect your name. Like, what is it that you stand for? And I think if you do that, people are going to remember you, and that's gonna follow you throughout your career and your life.
Hey, my fellow impactful engineers. If there's one thing that you could do to help out this community, is to keep listening to the podcast, but also that if you found value in it, to share it with one person, give us a 5-star review, or even leave a text review. It'll only take a few seconds of your time. Find that person that you think could enjoy some of this or learn from it, and pass on the good word. Now back to the show.
Yeah, that's huge. That's We're getting into some tactics here, which are very important. Um, it's very important to know what the influences are, and the things that are happening behind the scenes around you. Knowing how this all works, especially that influence piece that you're talking about, and the perception piece. It's huge. So that it all ties back to making the program work for you. So you've gotta step it up. And outside of that, you just being curious is going to bring a lot more out of the mentors too.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is, I mean, let's be real. It's an after school program. It has to be like really as close to after work as possible because we're all professionals doing our jobs, trying to make the company better, bring in income, feed our own family. You know, we're working our careers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then so we're going to take the extra time, our discretionary effort, that could be placed in many different areas of our lives, and we're choosing to place it into you. And when you show up and take the advice and start showing the initiative, that just feeds our fire because we're there for a reason other than like, oh, we just feel like we should do it, or you know, like this is what everybody does, right? You know, we're there for a deeper reason. We can you can feed on that too. So if you help feed us, we'll help feed you. Like it builds the whole energy up. So if you remember nothing from the episode, this is that point in the episode. Remember to bring the energy, man.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
we're all there to learn, and there are no stupid questions. You just go. You just go and you learn.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
now, so ACE program, you spent 3 years. You worked, went to school, got paid to learn, and then eventually, you know, you're transitioning into your first, I guess, maybe full-time
Yep.
position. Yeah, tell us how that went, and maybe touch on the fiber of or the thread of early career success, or maybe what some things worked for you.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I really enjoy this phase of my journey. So, right, went through school, worked at Gilbane as I went through school, and then I got hired full time. So when I got hired full time at Gilbane, I was hired as a project engineer. I was working on smaller projects. What we call them is special projects group, so SPG. These projects range from anywhere from $100,000 to $10 million. Typically, they're more interior fit out projects. Um, so one thing that in my early career that I learned, and I kind of learned this from just the past, was that I wanted to know a little bit about everything. That was one thing that I wanted to. Someone told me an advice once, and it was like, you need to be valuable. If you're valuable, you ain't going anywhere. And I still to this day, I work like that. That's how I maneuver my way through life, is I want to make sure that I'm valuable. So as I was analyzing the way the company works, I told myself I need to be able to be cross trained. So I need to be able to, if there's no work here, I need to be able to know how to do the have the skills where the work is. So what I told my supervisors was like, okay, I'm doing project engineering, but I want to know how to do superintendent. Okay, I'm doing superintendent, but I want to know how to be a project manager.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one thing that I am early in my career. I made sure that I did was become cross trained. So I kind of something that I have noted here is step out of your comfort zone. If you once you step out of that comfort zone, I understand is uncomfortable, but that's where you're gonna see the most growth, is once you step out of that comfort zone. Um, to add to the story, one thing that I recommend that young professionals look into is to look into acceleration programs that your companies may have. So, for example, Gilbane has the management candidate acceleration program, which stands for MCAP. Young in my career, I was invited to apply to this program, and basically, what this program does, it gives you access to different parts of the company, different departments. Again, remember that cross training that I mentioned? I was like, okay, this is for me. Once again, stepping out of my comfort zone. So when I joined the MCAP program, I went through the scheduling department. I went through the safety department, superintendent again, engineering, business development. This is a 2-year program that you basically learn all the key departments in the company, and to become successful. And the way I told myself is like, hey, if I want to scale up, level up, I'm going to need to understand all these departments. So I went through that for the I applied for the program. I got in it, and I went through that, and it was one of the best 2 years of my life. I learned so much more, right? Because I'm constantly learning so much more about the company and the way the company operates. And when you do this program, you work with the department heads. So now at this point, you're doing that networking thing again that we did at ACE, right? We're networking
Yeah.
within the company. So they're like, hey, I worked with Edwin when he did his MCAP rotation, So it's like and now
And
it was such an awesome experience.
there are so many things that you hit on that are very good, but I think if I could wrap it all up into a nice bow, it would be a lot of life is timing. Okay. And there's a lot of risk if you are in the wrong position at the wrong time. Okay. A lot of life is about de-risking. There's a lot of, in business, there's a lot of things about de-risking. And, it's the whole reason insurance companies exist and all these things. So what you're talking about at a high level is you got into the company, immediately identified, how do I maintain that I am valuable amongst this big organism that is Gilbane, that moves a lot, right? Markets shift. Maybe we haven't diversified as well as we thought we did, or something comes up. You look at history, there's all these bubbles that burst, and there's all these market upticks and downticks and big swings and all these things. So what Edwin is hitting at is like, becomes so valuable that no matter what swing is occurring, you have a place.
Yes.
Because just being real, and we like to be real on this show, a company's job is not to bring every single person that is employed in that company through every single trial and tribulation. It's just not. The organism of the business has to survive, or there is no business. So just being real, like the sooner you can set yourself up and bridge that gap between individual contributor, right, and starting to weave yourself into the company with multiple layers of skills, the less risk you have of something happening, and then either you need to transfer, or there's layoffs, or you're not getting the opportunity that you want to have, but you still have a job. There's all these different little levels, depending on where you are and where you want to go. But taking a strategic approach like that and diverting some of your effort and resources into learning multiple things within the company and being excited to peel that knowledge from others, go through that program, is a very good idea. Very good idea.
And I would add to that.
Let me ask, like, did you ever lose your job?
No, thank God.
Right.
No.
Right. And there was probably some times where you're looking around going, man, I wonder what is going to happen.
No, absolutely. Because again, there's, like you said, there's up and downs in the industry. And, sometimes there's a project that you thought was going to go through, and that project, the owner couldn't get the funding. So it went away, and, now you don't have a home, and you need that, like, you need people that vouch for you. It's like, hey, I want that person on my team. He's not going to that project. I want that person on my team. Bring him over here.
Yeah. It's a backup plan.
Yeah. And
Yep.
two things kind of with that is kind of what we've been talking about is, you mentioned risk, and I think there's no better time to risk than at the beginning of your career.
That's absolutely right.
You know what I mean?
Such a good point.
And I think that's something that, again, if you want to take something from the episode, is I think is I understood that, and I said at the beginning of my career, I am going to take all these risks, because I know at some point in my life I am going to have a family, things are going to slow down, and at that point I do not want to be taking risks.
Correct. It's the same thing with, like, the whole retirement path. It's like,
Yes.
okay, yeah, I'm gonna manage your portfolio for you. What's your risk tolerance? How much time you got left? What can we do? But I want to drill into that point about early taking risks. So, like, what are some of the risks that we perceive on ourselves as a high school kid? I remember some of mine. One of them was, oh man, what are people going to think about me not going to the parties and not hanging out and not doing the after school, like hanging out with the friends and going to the movies all the time and like this relentless escapism kind of activity. It's like, what are my friends going to think if I'm focusing on this thing? Or, oh, I'm too good for you. That's a fear that I had. And that's a huge risk that you will perceive as a young kid because you like your friend group and you want to hang out with them, right? But if you're going to go pursue this thing that's hours of your time that's not spending with them, so that might be a risk for you. But I'm saying, like, and that's just one example. There's tons of other risks too. You might need to be caring for someone. You might have to do really well in this one class. You might, you have things going on. There's so many things. But take the risks as a youngster. Like step right in it and do the program if you want, or step into that thing you're thinking about doing that maybe takes just a little bit of courage to kind of overcome the risk. But now's the best time because you think about what you can fall back on. It's like, well, just what I'm doing now. like might as well take the step.
And I think like in life you need to be you need to be familiar with the feeling of being in a risky situation. I think it's because if you're not, like, you are not gonna know how to react when life throws things at you. And I think
Correct.
that's something that I recommend to become familiar with. I've been in many situations that I looked at it as a risk, but that risk became an opportunity. It became a promotion. It became, something better for me. So I would say I would challenge you to dive into the risk and see, what would be the outcome of it. And if the sooner you do it, I think the better it'll be for anybody, for any individual.
I had no idea that we were going to be talking about risk in this episode. This is great. This is the real stuff. This is where you can take leaps and bounds in your life and your education and your career. Is stuff like this. If you think about it, most of the world is the way it is, or most of the people that live within it are the way it is because that's the safest thing to do. And what is the safest thing to do? What most everyone else is doing. And what is most everyone else doing? Trying to de-risk their entire lives and just do the maybe not the easiest path, but like the safest, because it's not about the easiest. It's about the safest, lowest perceived risk in their mind activities to
In their
do,
mind.
right? And that doesn't always lead you to the greatest opportunities.
And
So I think that's the point we're trying to make.
and Jake, a few days ago we went to the ACE mentor presentation with these high school students.
Yep.
And one thing that I was one of the judges this year, and one thing that I remember being in those kids' shoes and present. There was 200 plus people in that room that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being there, but one thing that stuck out to me was there was two freshmen that they presented, and I couldn't imagine being a freshman presenting, on a construction project at 14, 15 years old in front of 200 students. That was
Right.
that was right. They got out of their comfort zone. They put themselves at risk of maybe being uncool to their friends.
Right.
But they made that decision to do it, and I'll tell you what, they made it through. They did an awesome job, and now they have the ACE program on their resume, a national program recognized throughout the industry, recognized in different colleges and universities, that now they could, one day go to a career fair and show their resume to someone that's hiring, and potentially that person, been involved in the program, and for that reason, they're gonna have the opportunity to sit at the interview table.
That's right. And that uneasy, maybe not so easy for people to do, walk up to a career fair table and be like the most fluent and like laid back and, oh, here's my resume and how you doing? That situation, they're only better in that situation because of all of the 18 sessions that you go through, talking about things, practicing your presentations, talking with the mentors, then being on that stage And then as a freshman, if you go back and do it again, you're only going to stack that skill. And then by the time you're in college and talking to recruiters, you're going to be like, dude, I've done this a million times. I feel so comfortable being around all these people and just talking about whatever I got going on. And that's going to, it all stacks. So like stack those skills.
Exactly. And you saw it that day. I saw the freshman presenting, and then I saw the senior.
Right?
They just controlled the stage. They felt so
Just
comfortable.
wiped the floor with everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the gap there, you know? If you're trying to get a job, like, and it's the first time you've ever put yourself out there, you're gonna fall on your face, which is okay. Like you should, yesterday was the time to start, but today's the second best time to start, right?
Absolutely.
So not like dissing anybody on that, but I'm just saying, like, it's gonna help you a lot.
Absolutely. I did wanted to talk about something else that I think we brought up, and I do want to like push this is the whole thing about a mentor and finding a champion.
Yeah. Okay.
And the reason why, someone told this to me is like, you need to find champions. You need to find people that when you're not in the room, they're talking the best about you. And I that's something that, that I've tried to build. It's like that networking system, right? Is built that network, find those champions, and you do it with basically, saying yes to those opportunities, signing up to those programs, even at work, signing, hey, I'll help you out with that assignment. I'm willing to work a few extra hours to put in the work, and I think that has been something that's benefited me through my career, and in terms of like all the programs that I've joined, all the projects that I've worked on, is kind of figuring out who those champions have been in my life. And basically, I think what created those champions is that two-way relationship. It's like, hey, I'm here for you. Whatever you need me, I am here for you. And I think that two-way relationship has benefited me a lot in my career.
Yeah. And a champion is not a term I was familiar with, but I was kind of like taking the context. I'm like, this might be an advocacy thing. So yeah, it is. I mean, really, it's like another word for it is an advocate for you.
An advocate.
Someone who speaks highly of you when no one else is around, or maybe those hallway conversations that take place between managers and people that are trying to decide the strategic direction and how are we going to position this department and this department. And if your name gets thrown in there, that's a very good place to be, And one way that I've seen through my career to help me do that without some sort of selfish intention is to have no expectations whatsoever. Just work, give, support, help. Sometimes I would get in my own way in there, but that's learning, that's life, that's you growing. I've done a lot of growing in my career.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never had some sort of skewed expectation about, hey, if I do this, then you must do this in return, right? There was no forcing that to happen or holding anyone accountable for being my advocate, right? It was just giving.
Yes.
And I feel like that is one of the things that has helped me in my career, is that there are no expectations. You're just doing the work. You're holding yourself accountable, and you're giving, and good things happen. Doors open. Opportunities arise. I don't know. That's what I've seen.
Yeah,
throughout my years.
No, I agree. I think that organic gift back, that organic work that you're doing, those organic relationships, I think without expecting nothing in return, I think those are the ones that become true mentorships, through true advocates, true co-workers. And I think again, like if you build those true relationships, is I think it'll go a long way. But again, like you said, it's just like coming organically. It's not with intentions of expecting.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you could inadvertently start setting your own expectations on others that they don't even know about. You haven't even communicated it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that can get you into some bad territory.
Absolutely.
All right. Damn, lots of good stuff in this episode. Like, listen to it a few times, people. We're at that time. We're about, approaching 50 minutes here, at least pre-edit, which I don't think we're gonna have to edit anything. This was pretty damn good. I don't know if I shared. We do this closing question every time with a guest, and I forget if I shared it with you. But whether you're prepared or not, we're gonna go ahead and do it. And you can interpret this in any way outside of engineering. You don't have to. You're not an engineer. It's like you don't have to be narrow in your scope. It's just the idea. And the question we ask is, what does it mean to you to be an impactful engineer? And that just means, what does it mean to you to embody the idea of being an impactful, insert whoever you are, person, engineer, operational excellence leader, whatever it is? What does it mean for you to be impactful in your life and your career?
That's a really good question. I think, something that, right, architects, construction managers, and engineers all have in common, and anyone in these industries, is we're problem solvers, right? At the end of the day, that's what we get hired to do, is to solve problems. And I think in order for us to be impactful, we need to solve problems, right? So I come every day, especially now in my and any role that I've done, is to solve the problem of the day, the problem of the week. And I think that's the one thing that I try to strive for. And I might not have the answer, but I would find someone that has the answer, or I would figure out the answer. And I think that, like, I would never leave an answer like unsolved. I'm never gonna, that's like not responding to an email. I think
You can't have all these problems running around.
I can't.
What are we doing here?
Exactly. So I think that's I think that would make you an impactful, whatever blank you're doing in your career, right? An impactful operational excellence manager, an impactful engineer, is to be part of the solution, right?
Mm.
And I think that's one thing that I try to focus on, on my day to day in my career, is just be part of the solution. And the solution could be many different things. It could be connecting two people together. It could be answering an RFI, right? It could be, I'm part of a committee, and the owner needed a contact for a solar panel installation. I'm being part of the solution. I'm being impactful to my community.
Yeah. Identify the problem and solve it.
Exactly.
And you notice he didn't say, like, be the problem solver, solve all of the problems myself. It was kind of like put on the lens of being a problem solver. That could mean bringing a couple people together as part of the solution. You could, of course, solve it yourself if you have the know-how. But just in general, being a part of the solution. I think that'll make you highly impactful in any career and in life, right? Helping people solve problems is very valuable.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
Absolutely.
All right, Edwin. This was an awesome episode. A great addition. I think our second ACE related episode that we've done this year. One for the records. We're gonna have this launch pretty soon. It's gonna be great. Very nice to have you on the show, and thanks for coming, man.
No, thank you. Honestly, I appreciate the podcast. You definitely gain another member. I love the work that you and your brother are doing through the Impactful Engineers. Thank you for having me. And the one thing I want to just kind of like summarize is, for the episodes, show up, be present, find a mentor, so find an advocate, say yes to opportunities, and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. That's where you will find your growth.